Hey there, average video gamer. Are you tired of the same old boring protagonist all the time? Do you want to be good but also have a little bad in your life? Well, fret no more, because I have the game for you today. From the deep recesses of 2003 comes everybody's fattest protagonist, Wario World indeed. This is a game that I doubt many of you even remember. I barely remember it myself, but this is a game that of course came out in 2003 for the good old GameCube. We're just going to start a new file here. And there's a pretty intense story here to start us off, so I'm going to let you read it. The way the text is scrolling, you almost expect to hear Star Wars theme not too far off in the distance. Wario Wars! Just doesn't quite roll off the tongue the same way. But they sure did need a greedy treasure hunter to steal the jewel, and lo and behold, here comes our fat man himself. I say it's quite a jazzy tune for what's supposed to be evil. I don't know what that transformation was. There's our Royal Highness in all his greedy glory. Seems like he could give Scrooge McDuck a run for his money, no pun intended. Now you see, Wario, this is what happens when you build a house made entirely out of gold. The foundation is bound to crumble. There, don't you feel silly now. With all that money, you should have hired a good architect. And our game begins. Pretty much it starts off right as your standard 3D platformer with the good old GameCube graphics. Standard controls of A for jump, B for punch, X and Y do nothing right now, R for dashing, and while you're dashing, do A to do a sort of corkscrew jump. This is a treasure chest that we have to unlock, just so you know what it is. A and R in the air will do a ground pound. That's pretty much common in every single Wario game. So we have our first world here, along with number 2, which is a haunted house, 3, which is something, and 4, which is a pyramid level. Yeah, there's one criticism for this game, and that is that it is quite short, but we will still enjoy it for all its quirkiness. Oh wait, remember these 2 placeholders. They will be important later. But anyways, start off with our first level here. Yeah, before each level there's a to-do list. Don't worry, each to-do list is basically the same. Beat the boss, collect the treasure. General Wario platformer type stuff. Greenhorn Forest is our first level in the overworld of Excitement Central. Yeah, you better believe it is. Now, right off the bat, our first treasure is here, and if you blink, you'll miss it, because the ladder on this tree blends in really well to the background. But we can see our first few kinds of enemies with our different attacks. I'll explain these as we go along, but the general gist is you're just punching these people. We have our switch that grants us treasures, and as you can probably guess, yeah, we're not going to transfer to Game Boy Advance. But on our start menu here, we get a little slot holder for 8 different treasures. They kind of go in a rainbow color format. We pretty much found the last one right off the bat for some bizarre reason. And this is a cutscene we cannot skip. We cannot put enough quotations around cutscene, because it does go by very quickly. Yes, these are Spritelings, and they give advice that I will explain, so we don't really need to read all this stuff. They basically explain context, different button techniques, yada yada yada. So yeah, the reason I'm Let's Playing this game is because I find it to be a very enjoyable experience that not many people remember. I remember it being fairly successful when it first came out, but of course that was many years ago. And real quick, these are statue pieces that we have to put together to form a statue of ourselves. Again, we are not vain at all. We are Wario, after all. Anyways, this is a game, of course, that came out in 2003, long time ago. I remember getting it when it first came out, and I was all excited for it because I've always kind of liked Wario, just as a character. I've heard people say that he's useless in the Mario universe, and he pretty much is, but that's kind of what I like about him, in that he's very pointless indeed. All he is an anti-hero, and for some very bizarre reason he got his own spin-off game. Not just his own spin-off game, because this isn't the first time we've seen him, it's his own spin-off series. They were all predominantly, as you guys may know, on the Game Boy, later Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance, and it would continue to go downhill from there till they got to the DS. The DS Wario games are just a nightmare of bad video gaming, but when he made an odd transition to the GameCube, it was something that not many people knew exactly what to expect, because up until that point, yeah, I'm just going to be collecting treasure, so I'm going to explain a few things as we go along. One quick thing to note is be sure to look all around the level, because these switches are sometimes well hidden, and they're all kind of close together, so if you go too fast you'll miss one, and I'm sure that by the end of this level I will have missed one and will have to backtrack a teeny tiny bit, but that's okay. Anyway, the transition to the GameCube was an odd one for Wario, because he was always just, up until this point, especially on the N64, he was just a random character. It really was something that he was just there to fill a space. In Mario Party games, in Mario Tennis. I don't quite remember if he was in Mario Golf or not. But he was in all these knockoff games and never had his own ever since the Game Boy handhelds, basically. Real quick about these areas, there are a bunch of different trapdoors that we go in to collect these red diamonds, and they also have statue pieces in them at times. We need all these red diamonds. As you can see on the ground there around the statue, there are 8. We are going to collect all 8 of them, and those 3 little platforms right in front of the statue, I will explain what those are in a minute. Another pointless cutscene. Yeah, basically garlic is our mushroom. It revives our heart containers, which we don't need right now. So I always remember it being very interesting that he got his own release, but I always enjoyed it. I think that a lot of people are turned off by the idea of Wario because he's got a very mean personality. And that is absolutely true. He's really just a total douchebag. But again, that's what I like about him. I don't know if I've ever really ranted in a video about it or not, but over the last few years I've come to realize I have a big beef with the Mario whole franchise, really. And that is that Mario is basically just a boring character, and I know I kind of joked about that at the beginning, but I do think it's true. He's really kind of just lame. He has the same story arc pretty much all the time, rarely varying. Even in the games that I really enjoy, like the Paper Mario line of games, he never has much opportunity to be any different than the guy who saves the day. Where Wario comes in is that he's sort of his antagonistic villain, but not more so than Bowser. I mean, Wario's just really a joke character more than anything else. What I like about him, though, is that being kind of an anti-hero gives him a lot more personality. And you'll notice throughout the game, and especially when you're punching enemies, I'll try to do it here a little bit. When you're throwing people, things like that, I love that. He just takes like these phrases that he says, when he screams out "excellent" like that in such a menacing way. And things like "have a rough day." It's like there's so much more personality I always find to Wario than other characters, even to Luigi, who is a character that I also prefer to over Mario. Primarily because of the Luigi's Mansion games and Dark Moon, which I've been playing recently. It's a lot of fun. But no, Wario definitely has a lot of people hate him just because he's gross looking, and he's a jerk, and he's fat. God, is he fat. And his games as of late have all been like rhythm games with Wario Shake It. Well, that's more of a hybrid between the rhythm and the platformer. Predominantly in Smooth Moves, WarioWare, Game & Wario, and all those kind of things. All games that I still like, but again, it's kind of nice to see him in a platforming environment. I have theories as to why this game is not so highly remembered, or even regarded. Not just because of the fact that it's Wario and that a lot of people don't really like him. It's also the fact that, for as much as I like this game, and I really do, there's no denying the fact that it kind of sucks. In its controls, it's very floaty. Sometimes you'll see me kind of like float around while trying to jump. It makes certain jumps a little more difficult, because when you're jumping, you don't expect to go quite as far as you actually do. There's another game that's similar to that. Yeah, you might have noticed that enemy just disappeared. Enemies in this game have like certain areas where they can be, and if they go outside that area, they'll kind of despawn, so I'll just clip into it. Ooh, our first big puzzle here. Okay, be sure that you get around with the 3D and don't get knocked over. Yeah, I mean, come on. This game is so like poorly programmed. It's like you can easily clip through that stuff. Like, there's no way I should have made it up that easily, but as long as you're not hitting the small damage box in any of these spike things, then you're fine. But anyways, it is a very poorly done game, and not just in the fact that there are like floaty controls. The rest of the controls are actually pretty intuitive. It's basic stuff. What he basically said is something that I'm going to point out in a second. It has to do with going over the side of that bridge over there. Yeah, I know this puzzle is a brain duster, but somehow we did it. Okay. You don't really need the gold, but it's just kind of a novelty to have. You can get certain things later that I might show off, might not. I mean, it really is one of those things that's kind of yes or no. You don't really have to show it. Anyways, we're just gonna... Oh my god! So one interesting thing about Wario World is that when you fall off the side, you're kind of... You don't die, but you're just stuck in this kind of purgatory area where these monsters chase you, and you have to find an escape. And the more you get hit in the area below, the more gold you lose. So it's not the worst thing you can have happen, it's just kind of annoying, and you want to get out of there as quickly as you can. And yeah, we do need a minimum amount of diamonds to activate the goal here and get to the final boss. The bye-bye balloon we will rarely be using. It basically just takes you to the back to the beginning of the level. But I plan on getting pretty much everything along the way as we go. What little backtracking there is, I might just be like cutting it out or whatever. Hit the right switch here 4 times and the left switch 2 times. Just throw that out there. But yeah, that jumps like that right there, that was pretty easily done, but just making sure, okay, we're on track. We only need one more of each. Easy enough to find. Anyways, the idea behind this game, I think, was to just kind of make a quick tie-in. It's clear that they didn't have a whole lot of thought going into it, because it is so short, and also because the graphics... I've never been one to be like, oh, I'm a graphics whore, it totally matters and all that stuff. Come on, I don't think I can walk up on the tree trunk there or whatever. But the graphics, they do leave a little to be desired. I didn't plan on missing that. Actually, in playing it again, it sort of reminds me of... Wow, okay. Sort of reminds me of the GameCube version of, I think it was Sonic Unleashed, in that they're very odd-looking polygon graphics. And it's clear that, like, some games, it doesn't get in the way, like Super Mario Sunshine, and even Luigi's Mansion, or something like, I shouldn't say Wind Waker because that's more stylized, but there are some games that you don't really think to say, oh, well, that's obviously from the GameCube era. Okay, we're good on all of our pieces, we just need to get some treasures. The thing about Wario World and other games with similar art design is that they do tend to be very much a product of their time. By the way, the Triceratops is here. Triceratops? It's not yeah, I think it is. They are some of the more difficult enemies to kill, in that they just take a little longer to actually beat. I'm gonna ignore this giant thing that has a bazooka on its head, because you can't really kill it and it just shoots out bombs. This should be our last treasure, but we need to find the light blue switch. Sorry, I had a little bit of a mishap there. Kind of went far away from it. We'll see more of these head blocks much later. I'm not going to deal with them now, but the switch is right there, and we'll go grab our treasure, and we'll head to the boss. Yeah, I don't want to take up the whole length of the video talking about how good this game is or is not. Because I do enjoy it. Hence why I'm playing it. I doubt many people remember it either, so... It's one of those games that you have as basically just a guilty pleasure. As you can see on our left screen there, the last thing we have to do is kill the boss. Oh yeah, so great. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over it. He just said, I'm number one! When you punch this boss a certain number of times, he starts rampaging. And then smack. And then when he's passed out, you just kind of like throw him over the side. Rinse and repeat 3 times. This is not some big main boss, though. That'll come later. Each world, at the end of each level, has this kind of small boss, which is what we're fighting right now, as you can tell. And then, for each world, there are 3 levels, 2 of which are regular platforming levels, like the one we just accomplished. And the last world, or the last level, excuse me, the last level in each world is just the boss. Oh my god, he's faster, but we can still easily dodge him by circle strafing. Yeah, the bosses don't get much more challenging from here. The mini-bosses don't, at least. So, if you're worried that this game is too easy for your tastes, I'll just tell you, you may be right. But, I still say it's fun. So that's our first level, Greenhorn Forest, I believe. I think that was the name of it. I don't remember. I know it's been kind of long, so we'll head on to the next level in the next segment. Sort of split it up. That should be Because it is a short game, that should pad it out a little bit to make this a decent length LP. I don't want to short stick you guys on anything. And since we collected everything, we get the completed statue and a whole half a heart. What could be in the next level? More of the same? Quite possibly.